And luckily for all the fans, JDM still on the card. Let's go to him and talk about all of this because there was a lot of drama leading up to all of this. Jack, how are you, my man? Thank you for doing this. Appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me, Ariel. Yeah, all is well here in Vegas. Glad we've got a fight locked in.
Yes. And by the way, I love the fact that it's not 5 a.m. over there when we're doing this interview. It's a normal time, so I don't feel guilty about you waking up or going to bed late. This is lovely. It's 11 a.m. over there. It looks like it's very hot in Las Vegas right now. Is it scorching?
Yeah, it's scorching. It's been hot for the last few weeks, so it's nice getting early and feel the heat.
When did you get to Las Vegas?
We arrived Sunday last week, so I've been here for about a week and a half.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
And when did you find out Sean was out of the fight?
It must have been Tuesday last week.
Tuesday last week. So you had then been in Las Vegas for 2-3 days. You make the trek from Australia all the way over to Las Vegas. You're settling in, you're getting acclimatized, as they say, and you find out your opponent is gone. Are you freaking out, or are they telling you, don't worry, we're going to figure this out, you're going to remain on the card?
It's obviously a bit of uncertainty, but the UFC were pretty good. They did say they were pretty certain that they would get me a fight. They just said hang tight and we would sort it out. And I just left it to the UFC and to Tim and Dan to sort it. But yeah, it took a few days and there was a lot of back and forth, but it came through.
Are you the kind of guy who stresses over these things, or do you just say, I'm going to leave it to them and I'm not going to worry?
I sort of just left it to them, and yeah, I didn't really worry too much. I trusted the process. I trusted that the UFC would get me an opponent. That similar sort of thing had happened before. Last year, January, arrived and didn't have the opponent. So yeah, they said last time they'd get me an opponent, and it worked out. So I had trust in the process.
Now, the fun thing when something like this happens and when it lingers is that all of a sudden it becomes like this game, this mystery, like who's going to jump in? People are throwing their name into the hat. Is it Joaquin Buckley? Is it Kevin Holland at 175? What's going on? Were any of these fights a realistic option based on what you heard?
No, not really. They were names that were flung around, and I was pretty keen. I was pretty keen to fight anyone, really. I'd come this far, so I was ready to go. And yeah, those names sounded cool. There was also Chris Curtis that was there, and it was never actually offered to me. I just saw the names saying that they would step up, so it sounded good to me. And I thought possibly it might be at a heavier weight, so I started eating a little bit more. But
oh no,
none of them actually came to fruition. So
I have to say, I reported on Sunday that they were still, hopeful that they would keep you on the card. This is before Harrell, was signed as your opponent. And I had mentioned that the Holland fight and the Buckley fight, this was after Buckley, I think, said, I'll see you all next week. And so everyone thought it was going to be him. And I said none of them materialized for whatever reason. And then I got a message from Holland who's like, he said, you didn't want the fight. And so I sent that to Tim. And I was like, oh, this is what he's saying. And so then Tim, being the gangster that he is, sent me the screen grab of the conversation that he had with the UFC brass, Sean Shelby, saying that you would fight Kevin Holland. And so I sent that back to Kevin Holland because he was saying that you actually weren't, keen to take the fight. And then he kind of said oh, okay, I guess, it didn't materialize. Were you annoyed about any of this? Because I think he posted some stuff on Instagram saying that you don't really want the fight and all this drama.
No, it doesn't really annoy me. I was excited for that fight. I think that would have been a cool fight, and yeah, it would have been at a heavy weight, so it would have made the cut easier. But yeah, I was excited for that, but it just never was. It was honestly never an option. It was talk on. Yeah, I saw his Instagram, but it was never actually an option. I did ask him, "Is the Holland fight on?" And yeah, I don't know. I think he had a fight booked, so they weren't into it, but. Yeah, no, I thought that was a realistic option, but it was just never actually passed on to me.
Yeah, and you would have done it at 175.
Yeah, I would have done it at 185, to be honest. I was ready to go. I was just keen to fight. I was honestly, I put a lot of work in over the years, so I was made a long way. I need to get paid. So, and it's a cool fight, Holland's it's a cool. I think it would have been a cool fight for the fans But yeah, just never materialized. But hopefully down the track we can make it happen.
Okay. Now, when they tell you all right, we've got your opponent, and it's Josiah Harrell. Are you familiar with Harrell?
No, up to that point, I'd never heard of him. I do remember seeing the video of him tackling someone out the cage, but yeah, I never knew. I'd never put the name to that video. I was just happy to get a name, to be honest. Whoever it was, I've come this far. I was keen to fight, whoever it is.
And when you have a situation where there's names like Holland and Buckley and Curtis being bandied about, and you ultimately get a name who isn't a household name who's making his UFC debut, is there any part of you that's like, I was kind of hoping that it would be a bigger name, or do you really not care?
I mean, I would like a bigger name if I had the option out. If there was a realistic option out of the three, I would have taken one of the other two right over Josiah, just for the fans' sake and the better fight. But yeah, it was never an option, and it is what it is. It's the same goal: here to fight, here to win, and move on.
And the Brady fight, I would imagine, was one that you were keen on. I know he's coming off a loss, but a big time prospect. Did you really like that fight?
Yeah, I thought it was a great fight. I thought it was a good challenge, and yeah, it was a top 10. It was a cool fight. I really wanted to solidify myself as a top 10 fighter, and that was the opportunity, but I don't think it was meant to be. But I feel like hopefully this is just a speed bump, and hopefully that fight just gets delayed 10 weeks, and possibly we can do it in Sydney in September.
So I was going to ask you about that next. There's a lot of Australian fighters on this card, and it's very interesting because there's a Sydney pay-per-view happening in 2 months. And I'm not sure if when they booked all of you on this card, they knew that was happening. Is there a part of you that wishes that, or like, I know in a perfect world you can have both, right? But it's very rare to see people return 2 months later. So do you wish that you were fighting on the Sydney card instead of this one? When you heard that, were you confused as well?
Yeah, no, my plan the whole time is to fight on both. That's the plan. Yeah, was get a win, take a week or two off, and then get straight back in there. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously, you can't look past anyone or look too far into the future in this sport. But yeah, I feel like that was always the plan. Try and get two fights in the space of 3 months would be ideal.
Yes, that would be tremendous. And have they told you that their hope is to just rebook the Brady fight whenever he's ready, or your management? Is that the goal? Like, sometimes they really want a fight and they'll do whatever. They'll go back to the well again and again until it happens. Is this one of those fights?
I mean, there hasn't really been too much talk about it. It was sort of just, we were meant to fight and now it's off. But yeah, I'm just, get through Josiah, and then hopefully it's just rebook it for Sydney would be best case scenario, I believe.
By the way, I keep calling him Josiah. Is it Josiah? Did I butcher his name?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure. I guess we'll find out when Bruce Buffer says his name.
Yeah.
By the way, I like the new merch. You're leaning into the Don Giacomo.
Yeah, I'm into it. Yeah, I like it.
Because last time I feel like when we spoke about it, you were kind of on the fence about it.
No, I'm into it.
You're into
Don Giacomo has a good ring to it.
Yeah, you sound like a gangster. I mean, you're like a Don Giacomo.
Yeah, it works well.
Where can people get this merch? We're showing it right now. We're showing the picture of it, multiple pictures of it. Where can people get it?
You can get it online at StreetX. StreetX is the brand. Go online. JDM merch.
Oh, yeah. I think, GC, aren't you wearing StreetX shirt today?
Nice, GC.
GC loves you. Our guy in the back over there, he loves you. He has all your stuff.
Yeah, I got it right now. It's actually a JDM StreetX shirt.
He's wearing a JDM. You can't see him, or can you see him? No, I don't think you. He's wearing your shirt in the back right now, JDM. How about that?
Shout out to my guy.
That's it. Where's yours, Ariel?
Well, I try to be a little unbiased. I have to call it down the middle, so I can't really, can't be rocking fighter T-shirts. I'd look like a chump if I did that.
Yeah, save it for the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. By the way, fighting close to home in Perth in February, now making the trek. What do you prefer? Like that time difference and everything that kind of messes you up? No.
Not really. I don't mind it. I like coming out to Vegas. I like coming out to the US, traveling. So I feel like it's a nice little holiday.
Okay.
Get paid on. But of course, fighting in my hometown was a pretty surreal moment. Hopefully we can do that again in the future. But yeah, I just like traveling around, having a fight wherever.
Yeah. And you have fought in Las Vegas before, but I do believe this is your first international fight week, right?
Yeah, first. It's a first time in fighting in Vegas with a crowd.
Oh,
Fought a
wow.
couple of times. Fought at the Apex twice. So it'd be cool to, yeah, it's cool to fight International Fight Week, big arena, big platform. I'm super excited. So I'm glad it all came together nicely.
You can't do Apex again. And then once you've done a few in the venue, like in the big venues, you can't go back, right?
Yeah, I think the crowd is a big part of the fight game. So I think I'd like to think most of my fights going forward will be with a nice crowd.
And I know we were talking about Sean and whatnot, but it feels like you're on the cusp of some like, big opportunities at 170. How far do you think you are away from starting to get into those like big fights, those like really interesting fights at 170, those big contender fights?
Yeah, well, I thought after the Sean Brady fight, I was going to be right in there with the mix with some of the like top 5 guys. So yeah, I'm hoping just this little is a speed bump and we can rebook that fight, or at least hopefully the next fight, someone in the top 10, top 15, and keep the ball rolling.
I saw that they had the Aussie fighters take a group picture. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah.
You don't all train together. Like, are you all friends, or is there like is there some like turf wars going on? What's the vibe like when you all come together?
No, I've got a pretty good relationship with all those guys. So it was good to catch up with them, and yeah, no, good relationship with them. I don't train with any of them, but yeah, good mutual friends with us.
Are there any other members of your gym that are in the UFC at the moment?
Not at the UFC. Steve Erceg trains with us. I don't know if you saw his fight in
Mm-hmm.
Canada a few months ago, but yeah, we're hopefully we can get some more coming through over the next year.
Yeah, because we hear so much about like freestyle, and I know it's in New Zealand City Kick, but like I was wondering if you feel like there's a bunch of guys from your team that are coming up.
Yeah, there is. I think over the next, yeah, hopefully a few of our guys can get on the show over the next year. It'll be awesome.
And are you going home right after this, or are you spending? Some guys stay in America for quite some time afterwards to take advantage of being here. What are you doing? I know you have a young family as well. So what's the plan?
Yeah, well, the young family joined us on the trip, so
Oh my
they came
gosh.
out. Franco and Michelle are out in Vegas with us. So yeah, we're going to spend after the fight probably spend a few maybe 8 days in California. I think just cruising around.
Wait, so the young baby came on the flight all the way from Perth?
Yeah,
How did that go?
he loves. He was all right. He was pretty good. He's a pretty good baby. We got stuck on the like the tarmac for 2 hours, which sort of throwed off his routine. But he slept for a good 50% of the flight, and then. But yeah, no, it was good. I'm glad he's out here. He loves watching a fight, Franco. So glad we could get him out to his next fight.
Wait, how old is
His
he?
second year. He's 11 months old.
He's 11 months and he loves watching a fight. How do you know he loves watching fights?
I don't know. He loves being in the crowd. I think it's more the crowd he likes. He has his headphones on, and
Yeah.
yeah, he's into it.
So he's going to the event on Saturday.
Yeah, he's coming along.
What a
He was there
legend.
in Perth. as
Yeah,
well,
yeah, I
and
remember.
hopefully it comes to all my fights going forward.
You like that. You like having the family there. Some people don't like having the family there. They like to separate.
Yeah, no, I don't mind. I'm into it. Join along. They're part of the team
Yeah, I love
as
that.
much as anyone. They put a lot of work in.
2 hours on the tarmac when you have a flight that long, that's a kick in the gut.
Yeah, it was pretty. Everyone, I think, you could tell everyone on the flight was getting a bit frustrated.
Man.
But
And then with an 11-month-old, God bless. I can never even imagine doing such a thing. That is incredible. And then the time difference, too, with the sleeping. These are things people don't really take into account.
it took him a few days to get over the jet lag, but he's in the swing of it now.
Okay. All right. So all
About
good.
3 days, he was all over the place. But yeah, no, all good.
Okay. And it was a little kind of dicey there at the beginning of the trip, and now you got your opponent. You're good to go. No worries.
Yeah, no worries. It was a bit dicey. We sort of just as I said, just trusted the process, but it's all good now. Everything is looking good.
Man, imagine you fly all the way from Perth with your 11-month-old and you don't get a fight. That would have been.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I was here. I was ready to go against anyone, and glad they pulled it together.
Well, when you're one of the chosen few, you get the hookup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's it. I just do my job is the fighting. I just leave that part to the boys, and they always seem to pull through.
Well, I wish you the best, Jack. Good luck. Glad you are remaining on the card, and looking forward to another big performance out of you on Saturday. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Nice talking to you again.
All right, there's the man himself, Don Giacomo, Jack Della Maddalena.